All right, Rhapsody of Blood, episode 404, where we find our party down 2, and our mystic decides. Well, the group decides that it's best to send the mystic back for reinforcements, back to the forward base, and hopefully they will get back in time. Spoiler alert: they won't. So we decided to. We had spent hold in order to go to the boss person. We've decided to roll it back, just due to logistics and whatnot. So instead, if I understand correctly, we're going to spend 2 of the hold in order to go to a different ward, and then we will go from there. Okay, so yeah. So you go through, remember correctly, it's like double doors at the back of just past the harpists, if I remember correctly. So yeah, whose turn is it to roll for Travel Labyrinth? Feel like it's Ben? Sure.
I'm pretty sure it's Ben. I think I rolled the last one.
Yeah.
Can we get a link for the roll for your party?
Yep. 1 second. Well, have you played anything recently with Roll for Your Party other than this?
I don't believe so, but I'm not sure.
So if you just go to Roll for Your Party, it should just take you directly there. Because cookies. But if you get a brand new thing with no dice in it, then I can give you the link. Oops.
I think I'm gonna need a link.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's roll that. 6 plus
Blood.
7.
7. Just barely.
Just barely.
Skates by. Yeah. All right. Right. Okay. So, yeah, sorry. So, on a hit, hold 1 and describe your insight into the word's purpose or layout.
Well, we're climbing up, I suppose. So let's do classic. We're in the belfry. We're starting to climb the tower to the church bells. But it's much larger and wider, so they're strange, almost Escher-esque stairs and the sound of bells from somewhere above.
All right. So, yeah, so that the Escher-ish, Escher-like feel, it's obviously disorienting, but you're also not sure if this area is as full of stairways as you think it is, or if it's just that you have this strange sense that maybe there's just like everything is kind of covered in mirrors. And like all of those mirrors are making it feel bigger and look bigger. Because as you look, you do see kind of on farther off. I think we do see kind of like, as you said, kind of like Escher-like stairways, like kind of like going in opposite directions and like kind of upside down and stuff like that near and around you. You definitely see yourselves like stopping and looking around, like kind of maybe like upside down someplace else and another place where you're kind of like sideways or whatnot. But you also see crawling up stairs, at least crawling up towards you, but you don't see them in behind you, but you see them behind you in one or two of the other locations. You see these what's the best way to put this? These kind of quivering shapes. You can't get a good view of them because they're kind of, the distance seems far from you. But as you kind of like bend and move and try to look, it's as if they are kind of not entirely in phase with kind of like with the plane that they should be in. If that makes sense. They're they seem to be kind of spindly, four-legged, kind of waif-like things. You can't see them so well because, again, the distance and the upside down or the sideways, and you keep like looking behind you because they're slowly moving towards the ones, your kind of like reflections elsewhere. But you're getting worried because these things they're coming up to those other ones, and you're anxious that you're missing something here. What do you do?
I'm going to pause on the staircase, greatsword drawn, and spin around, and I'm going to just kind of like look really, really closely at the darkness, like looking up at the reflections of where they should be, and then, or where they appear to be, and then try to figure out where that would be in relation to us if they were indeed a reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And try to figure out if they're really there, or if they're invisible, or if they're slightly out of phase, or I'm just trying to look really carefully to see what these things might be and if they are indeed in our plane.
Okay. That sounds like you're trying to see clear. So why don't you give me a roll with glass?
Roll plus glass. Ooh, that would be a 12.
All right. Well, you get to ask 3 of those questions.
Hold on, let me hop over to the Basic moves, exploration moves. Well, I guess I'll start with what should I be on the lookout for?
You you briefly think back to a time when you were a child, and you recall kind of playing with mirrors, uh, just little pieces of glass, and you remember that um, it is not. It is hard to tell. Um, it's hard to tell when a mirrored plane is uh, is moving across another mirrored plane because it's kind of hard to see it. Um, and you need to be on the lookout for the fact that these things, seeming to be kind of partially made up of mirrors, are going to be much more able to hide themselves if and when you encounter them. You have two more.
Okay, so the first question indicates that they're kind of sort of they're not exactly going to be invisible, but sort of, kind of. I guess my next question is, what can these things do?
As you look more closely, as you said, into the dark, maybe there's a little bit of a torchlight here and there. You see sparkling. And again, as you look to the distant ones, as you squint, you can see that they seem to be made of pieces of mirror. And that in and of itself is bizarre. But your training also makes you think of the martial implications of that, and that they are made up of shapes and sizes, of multiple different shapes and sizes. So something you are going to want to be ready for is that it seems as though these things are made up of smaller pieces, and thus just breaking them and shattering them may not be enough.
Okay. I guess my third and final question will be, what exit takes me to my goal? Maybe we need to get out of here before those things catch up with us.
You will you have two things come to mind. One is a confidence that if you fall off these, like off the edge of these stairs, like kind of into this, if you happen to like fall into the area that is where you're seeing all these other stairs and stuff like that, it kind of looks like it's an open area, but not. I don't know. You have the sensation that you'll fall, but you're going to land someplace else. Like it's not going to be like a falling forever type of thing. But you also have that sense that if you do that, you are going to become extremely lost. So staying on the path that you are on is very important.
Okay, so we are being stalked by invisible floating swarms of broken mirror shards. And we really need to stay on this path. So I don't think we're going to be able to fight these very easily. So, Mina, I think we need to book it up these stairs.
Are the stairs that we're actually on that we're sure are actually stairs straight, or do they sort of wrap around or move? Like, can we just literally run, or
you can literally run, but I mean, you are going to, like, as you said, it is kind of a tower, kind of, and so like you will have to like kind of turn around and whatnot. But as long as you stick to what you are on, as long as you don't somehow get kind of pushed off of what you were on, you feel pretty safe that you'll get to where you need to get to.
okay? So I think one option, since we're approaching the end of our journey, let's probably used all the salt against the leeches, but I still have as many rations as I need. So perhaps throwing some sort of food stuff or something that might leave a mark maybe behind us, just to try and flour or something. I don't know, just to give some sort of distortion if something moves through it, at least to sort of range how close stuff is behind us as we're fleeing up the stairs.
Interesting.
Yeah, not really about stopping them or slowing down or confusing them, just like so we know when they're getting close enough that we should really turn around and defend ourselves rather than run.
Well, the thing is though, like if you're running, you're going to still have to turn around and look to see as to whether or not like they've made steps in the powder or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't imagine we can sprint anyways, just because I really don't want to fall off of this.
Yeah.
So there's some care. Fast jogging maybe, but I don't know.
Proceed quickly as quickly as is safe up the stairs.
Yeah. For sure.
I mean, if you want to do, if one of you wants to do like flow like water, I think that would be a fair way to get you to a safer location. If that
You want
sounds,
to do the honors on this one, Mike?
I don't know who has the highest mercury.
You have the highest. You have the higher mercury of 0.
All
I
right.
might recommend that.
Let's give it a go. 11. All right, I'll take that.
All right, so you're where you need to be, or another explorer has a clear path to you, or a particular threat isn't a problem anymore.
What was the first one again?
You're where you need to be.
I mean, we're going for the exit, so I feel like that seems like the best option.
I would agree.
Okay. Now it's interesting because in theory I think this is for you alone. So in theory,
In theory, I should also try the same thing.
yeah,
Okay.
if we want to go kind of like by the book, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I got a 4.
Awesome. All right. Well, so yeah, you see you see Mina kind of run up and run around and make a few quick moves here and there to get what kind of to what you assume must be another, which must be kind of like a door to an upper level. And you do your best to follow suit, but as you do, uh, you get slightly spun around, and you run into um, what is a wall of mirror, unexpectedly. You could have sworn that Mina came through here, but obviously you must have kind of like missed something. And you hear uh, the clinking of glass, of tiny little pieces of glass, uh, just gently clinking against one another, but in a rhythmic way, um, as if footsteps walking towards you. And as you turn uh, towards where the sound is coming from, uh, you see coming from coming from behind you, just kind of like breaking. If the camera was just kind of looking out onto this opening, uh, we would see two kind of starting pieces of the image starting to kind of crack into smaller and smaller pieces, forming what looks like, as I said, some kind of like thin body on top of this kind of like quadrupedal, spindly legs. All of this of little tiny pieces of mirror breaking out of there and walking towards you. Um, and Ben, what do you do?
So I guess Ronaldo got separated. Can I see sort of if I'm at the exit or very close to the exit, can I see how far back or where that turn was that he got?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and you think you can get there.
I guess given that I have a better vantage, is there any kind of assist move with trying to help him get to me, rather than sort of lose the path and maybe get lost myself?
Interesting.
Sort of yell directions as he's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can do that. Oh, but that's a different one. Never mind. Let's see here.
Would that be a help or hinder move?
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. You guys have Covenant together, right?
Yes. We have a one. I have a one on him. Not sure the directionality on that, but
right. Okay.
I've got 2 on you. I'm not sure how that happened.
Okay. So you could help. Yeah. How do we want to do this?
Give me 1 point of advantage on my next move, assuming that I'm able to use it. I think that's how I read that.
I guess the question is, I mean, it might just be that I maybe should have done it differently. It's like, in theory, if you're going to try and get to him, in theory, you're just going to do flow like water again, but this time in theory with like advantage or something, whatever it is from help and hinder. Which seems less ideal from just like a mechanical point, but that doesn't have to be the case. The other option is, I guess you could try to assault them or something like that, and somehow he is able to kind of like give you some
I mean, I guess it is our last session. I do have eye lasers now.
You do have eye lasers. I mean, if you want to start shooting the things with your eye lasers, I'm okay with this baller suggestion.
I mean, I was going to suggest, you're shouting directions on like how to get back onto the path, and I use or that there's an opening, there's an opening to the right, and I was going to turn and try to basically run through and past them. Like swinging my sword around to bat as much of the shards away. Charge through them, past them, turn around, get on the right path. Now that I know which is the right path.
Right.
So mechanically, I mean, that could be. I have advantage on a face the horde check.
Sure, that could work too.
To get through them, that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think that makes sense in the fiction. Yeah.
Sure, if you want to do that, that sounds fine.
That's kind of like what I'd like to try.
Okay. So, are you, Mina? Are you going to be you're helping?
Yeah. I mean, I guess if that's possible to, I guess, what'd you say? Use a.
You'll spend your point of covenant, and then you will give Ronaldo a die, and I would actually do that physically on both your party, because when Ronaldo rolls the 3d6, one of them needs to be yours, and we need to be able to tell whether it's high or low.
Yeah, you want to roll those 2 red ones, and I put a blue one near there?
Sure.
Awesome.
Nice. That would be a rolling plus iron. That would be a 13.
Okay. And you used great, and it was 6.
Yep.
Great, awesome. So you will get your you'll get that point of covenant back. And let's see here, 10 plus. So on Face the Horde, say how you tear through them, and pick one.
Okay. So with Mina's advice on positioning on how to get through them, since she's got a better advantage on the situation, I feint to one side. It follows. I then move in the direction I had intended all along, swinging my sword kind of in a wide arc to knock as many of these pieces out of my way as I run through them. I still take some damage as they cut me a little bit, but I knock most of them out. So I'm going to choose the they hit back, suffer harm.
Okay. Yeah. So go ahead and take 1 harm as they kind of like slice at you with their glassy, mirrory appendages. But
Okay.
yeah, you're able to battle your way past them and follow Mina's voice up to the higher area where she was calling from you.
Got it. So there's like a landing and a door there.
Yep.
Okay.
Um,
Before we go through the door, can I ask for a 5-minute break?
you may certainly ask for a 5-minute break. I might actually call it a 10-minute break if you don't mind.
That would be fine.
Awesome.
Works for me.
Okay.
See you guys in 10.
Okay. Be back in 10 minutes. And my cat is clearly not camera shy.
Well, we it's cute. How old?
The cat? Oh dear. I have to think. I think she's 6 or 7. I'd have to do the math. She kind of
Still
looks like
pretty
a
young.
kitten, but she kind of looks like a kitten because she's very small. She's only a 5-pound cat, but that's as big as she's going to get. I've got another cat who is more than twice this one's size, but this one is absolutely the dominant. I've got a 5.5-pound cat, and I've got a 14-pound cat, and the tiny one is absolutely the dominant one.
Size doesn't matter, apparently.
Just commenting that my cat is very much not camera shy.
So, I feel like there's a Pets of the Gauntlet channel or something like that. Anyway, so you guys got to the thing with the door. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, I guess I'm assuming, Ronaldo, you were going to open up that door, and if so, why
Yes,
don't you,
indeed.
travel the labyrinth roll.
Okay. Okay, so that is roll plus blood. Blood is currently 1. Rolling the red dice. Woohoo! And that's a 5.
Lovely. All right. So, you open up this door at the top of at this landing. And inside, it's very dark.
If it's too dark to see, I will light a torch.
You The door closes behind you, and as you are getting the torch, you're both just kind of like overwhelmed with the seeming heaviness of the darkness. It's as if it has a weight to it. And it feels almost endless. And you, Ronaldo, you pull out the torch, you start to kindle it. And its light does not help much. All it really illuminates is just the vastness of the darkness of the space that you are in. It doesn't illuminate any walls. It illuminates what you're walking on, but only to the extent that it's pitch black, whatever it is that you're walking on. And somewhat of a kind of a glossy sheen to it. Your eyes look out into the darkness. And at first you think maybe you see some sort of a fuzzy light in the distance. And as you watch, the fuzzy light seems to be moving towards you. And the fuzziness slowly becomes a little bit more distinct. It's not one out of focus mass. It's many of them that are kind of moving around. Whatever they are, these lights, they're leaving trails of light, so much so that it creates that feeling of aura of fuzzy light. Whatever these things are, they're moving towards you, and they're coming from far off, but in space. Like, they're not kind of like coming directly towards you. They are not on whatever ground it is that you are on. And as they are coming towards you, you can see that their numbers are large. There's at least 15, 20, 25 of these things. And as you stand there watching, now they're starting to stop moving around each other so much, and now are seeming to be focused intently on you. And they're now close enough that you can see they're thin, kind of flying things, as if they're swimming through this darkness, wide and glowing and silvery. And just the sheer number of them moving so quickly in your direction worries you. What do you do?
Is there any kind of cover or protective, or at least some space where we can get more one-on-one type of a situation?
Have you ever been like spelunking or anything like that? So you've probably at some point turned off the lights or whatever, and you've like seen what like that darkness feels like, that pure pitch darkness where you're unable to see anything. Now, imagine you were in a space large enough where the light that you had, say this torch, or in that experience that you had in the past, like a flashlight or something like that, all it showed was just the flatness of the ground that you were on for as far as the light could throw. And that is the experience that you have here. It's as if you are just on a great plane of dark, let's say glass or something like that. You know, if you assumed it was multiple football fields in size, your light could only throw so far, and whatever you can tell, there is nothing else out there other than these things that are coming from an angle in space towards you. So you certainly could, like, I mean, assuming you had the torches and you were willing to move fast enough with the possibility of not being able to, if something happened to be there, you know, not moving quick enough to kind of like avoid it. But you have plenty of space to move around, but there's nothing, there's no cover or anything that that you can see yet.
I'm going to try to. Can I get it? Can I get a better idea of what these like wisp things that are approaching us are? I mean, I assume we feel. I assume we feel like they are some kind of a threat, but have I heard any stories about things like this? Is this I mean, what can I glean anything from how they're moving?
Well, even though we are in the darkness, you can try to see clear.
Okay. Roll plus glass. My glass is one. So
Roll with glass.
roll with glass. Yeah, that's a 6. So no.
As you stare at these things that are fast approaching you, you two things happen. The first of which is that we, the viewers, would see from your eyes that these things look very much like what we would call basically manta rays, to give you a better feel of what they look like. The second thing is that you stare at them, and many of them, well, actually all of them, um, as if on some sort of cue, open their mouths, and as they do, uh, insanely bright light is uh, is opened onto this darkness in an instant. Uh, Mina is quick enough to shield her eyes from this, but you were staring very intently at it, and this light just uh, stuns you with its blindness. It, it, that doesn't really work, but I think you know what I mean. The brightness is just so painful to your eyes, that a you'll take one harm, and b your next action will be at disadvantage. Ben, what do you do?
That is a really good question. I don't know. We might be hosed here. I don't suppose I can see any exits or any sort of path out of this area. Now that these
No,
things are shining brightly, I guess.
not as such, but I mean, you too could try to kind of see clearly. I feel like you
Yeah, I think that's a.
have an ability to do that, don't you?
I have advantage on see clearly rolls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can do that. That is a. Let's see. Well, it's a failure even if I had a bonus, so it doesn't really matter.
Wow.
A 6 is the highest I can get, even with if I had +1 to it. So
With advantage?
yeah.
Wow.
It's
All
good.
right. That's great. All right.
Good sign. Sorry, Mike.
Everything's fine. So they, as their mouths are open, you kind of are slightly able to see this, like through, through your hands or whatever. The lights in their mouth start to dim, but then you notice your friend, who is kind of stumbling around a bit, has dropped the torch. And the torch, the light of it, is being drawn, being sucked towards these things. And you see it slowly drawn away from the torch, and the physical torch no longer has the light coming from it. And you see the light kind of moving off and into space and towards these rays. And it kind of like breaks into many pieces, and it is kind of inhaled by all of these things as they move towards you. Both of you, well, you too will have disadvantage on your next roll due to being unable to see really much of anything other than these things. So, there's a beat and 2 beats, and they, after inhaling this light, they close their mouths. The bright light stops. And again, as if on some sort of cue, they all stop giving off light. And you are in pitch darkness. And yet you know that these things are headed right for you. What do you do?
So we're in inky, oppressive darkness, like we were deep underground. We know there's nothing to hide behind. It's like we're in a cave, but the ceilings and the far walls are hundreds or thousands of feet beyond, such that it wasn't illuminated by our torch. And we've got a swarm of flying manta rays coming at us. The only thing that comes to mind is run.
That sounds like you want to flow like water, even if it's at disadvantage.
I suppose we should both roll that.
Yeah, I'll go first. Okay, rolling at disadvantage. Plus, what is that, Mercury? Okay. I got a 1.
How can you get a 1?
I rolled snake eyes and I've got a -1. I've got a -1 Mercury.
You roll 3 1s?
No, I'm at disadvantage. I rolled 3 dice and take the 2 lowest.
2 lowest, right. Holy fuck. All right. Well, it's Mina, how did you do?
5, which sounds really good compared to the 1. Mine is at least still within the normal apocalypse world range.
There was once when I was playing Dungeon World where I rolled a 0. I rolled Snake Eyes, and I was at I had a -2 ongoing going because I don't remember the circumstances, but I had a -2 ongoing, and I rolled Snake Eyes. So hey, I rolled a 0. So the GM gave me an extra hard move. That was fun.
All right.
This is the leeches all over again.
So you fumble around a bit in the darkness. And each of you has the following experience. You're both looking around just expectantly, hesitantly. And all of a sudden, immediately in front of you, there's a blinding light. You quickly close your eyes, but you can still see just sheer brightness behind your eyelids or in front of your eyelids. And you feel yourself enveloped. And you feel yourself enveloped and picked up off the ground. Your mind quickly makes the connection that you obviously have been consumed by one of these things. And as you make your way through this bright thing, you are just seared with radiation of some sort, and what we would know as radiation. You eventually come out of it and fall face first into the ground, having passed in and out of one of these things, each of you. You will each you'll each take 2 harm. You'll each mark contamination. And you still will have that disadvantage. Well, no, you won't have disadvantage. But you are both prone on the ground.
Okay, I'm marking a major wound because otherwise I would be dead.
Okay.
I'm marking a major wound that reduces my harm by 3, so that leaves me at 3 harm.
Okay. Are you going to frenzy, or are you going to play possum?
I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go frenzy.
Okay.
And just kind of like the swords out. I'm like whirling around, like pretty badly seared from being like inside the being inside the broiler like innards of that flying light mantis. But yeah, I'm swinging the sword around kind of blindly at anything that might come near, and I hope that ain't Mina.
All
I
right.
guess I'm gonna make a lot of noise as I'm doing this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. Why don't you go ahead and give me a face to the horde roll?
Okay. So I had advantage and disadvantage, so they cancel each other out. So I'm just rolling straight.
No, you no longer have a disadvantage.
Oh, I no longer have disadvantage. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a 6.
All right, folks, get ready for the TPK. We may not even need to get to the region.
Iron's my best stat too.
I knew my character was cursed, just didn't realize we were too.
Oh boy. So you I forget, did you have your sword out already or did you draw it?
I had it out already as I was like swinging it around in a frenzy.
Okay. As you are as you begin to kind of frenzy and try to attack these things with a sword, I'm assuming you're wearing like gauntlets or gloves or something like that. As you hold on to the thing, your hands are getting hotter and hotter, and you smell the leather or whatever it is in the gloves starting to burn, and you can feel there's heat coming from the hilt of your sword, and eventually it just becomes too much, and you drop it, and you fear picking it up again. For that, you know that if you are going to use it again, it is going to hurt you to do so. Ben, what do you do?
Oh man, that is a really good question. Whew. Can I tell from here? Is it the sword itself is superheated, or is it just that if he tries to pick back up the sword, they'll superheat it again?
I mean, so again, you're mostly in darkness, but you can see that the sword is emitting light.
Gotcha. And how close am I to Ronaldo?
I'd say maybe 20 feet, maybe.
All right, I guess face the horde. I'm gonna claw my way to him.
Okay.
It's iron, right?
Yep.
Oh, thank God. 11.
All right. So tell us how you tear through them and pick one.
Fiction-wise, I guess more are coming seems like the likeliest option. We are in a big room of them. So yeah, I bring out the claws and rip my way, sort of blindly through these things, just sort of waving forwards, and there's so many of them. It's almost hard to miss in a situation like this. Until I get by Ronaldo and sort of try and protect him until he gets up or gets ready to make his move.
Okay. And as what's fascinating is that each time that you slice into these things, light kind of bleeds out. So the more damage that you do, the more light is being emitted from these things, and more kind of like you're able to. The better you're able to like see what is going on. I mean, it's kind of a messy light, and it's like moving and kind of falling and dying and whatnot. But like it is still more light that you can see from. Um, yeah. So Ronaldo, what do you do with all this going around you, going on around you?
Well, my pistol is already destroyed, and my sword is unusable, and those are my only two weapons. So I'm gonna take off my I'm gonna grab my cloak, wrap pick up the end of my sword with my foot, kind of like wrap my cloak around it a bunch of times, so I can at least like pick it up and drag it with me, and hope that eventually it's going to cool off enough that I'll be able to use it. But especially if we think that more of these are coming, I think it's time to I think we need to just like get out of here. We are not able to effectively fight these things.
So it sounds like, I mean, let's see here.
I was going to say, if we could, I mean, I would say if we could try to find, normally, if we were in any other kind of place that we could see, or like there was terrain or something, I'd say I'd try to find shelter, but there doesn't seem to be any of that sort of thing around here.
And that doesn't mean you can't look.
Got it. Yeah, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look to see if I can find a safe place where we can recover, because I think we both have a lot of wounds we need to lick right now.
Yeah, might I recommend that that there might be a help die from Mina on that.
Absolutely. I'll pass over.
Since that's kind of what it seemed like you were trying to get to him to help him. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully not another fail.
Okay, let's see how terrible Ronaldo is at this whole adventuring thing. Okay, rolling with advantage. Yes! I rolled a 12.
Hooray!
Plus my Mercury is an 11.
Awesome. All right. So
And Mina gets her
Covenant back.
Mina gets her covenant back because the 6 was
Awesome.
6 was one of the high rolls.
All right, so on a hit, each explorer picks 1. Tend to another explorer, healing 2, or moving their lightest wound. Encourage another explorer, they get fleeting advantage, use Bloodline's shelter move, or gain aid from a contact.
Just for point of order, I'm at 3 harm and have a major wound.
Yep, and I'm at 3 harm. We're in a bad way.
So I think we're going to tend to. I would suggest we tend to each other's wounds.
For sure.
We're a tight spot, boys.
Do you want to step down your wound, or do you want to heal 2 harm?
I'm going to take the 2. I'm going to heal the 2 harm.
Okay, I'll do the same if that's okay.
I mean, I will also note, Mina, if you wanted to use your shelter move, you could do that.
I mean, that's true. Take corruption. I'm a little afraid to take, or contamination might be not too bad for you. Probably not great for me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you can offer to do the shelter move. You don't have to do it. It just says that anyone in the party can mark contamination to heal 1d6.
Yeah, so if you want to do that instead, and then I can heal lower your wound level by 1, that might be a better.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
And that gives you a new power, right?
Yeah. So yeah, let's do that. I'll mark a contamination. Puts me at 3. I'm going to roll a die to see how much is healed, and I rolled a 1. Yay!
Well, no.
So I guess you could either be at 0 harm, or you could be down to 2 and have a minor wound.
I'll go to. Let's see. I think I will just lower the harm by 1.
My sense is that you guys just kind of end up saying fuck it, and you guys just kind of like choose a direction and just start booking it that way, just to like put some distance between you and the mantas, and you just keep running until you just are too exhausted. You light a torch, and you find that you are actually close to an edge of whatever this black glass dome thing that you're in. And the things seem to have kind of lost interest in you. And so they are not kind of following or searching for you more. You're able to kind of like figure your wounds out and whatnot. And you find you find a large crack in this black glass, which with great care, you think you would be able to make your way through to get out of here. So my recommendation is that we maybe take like a 5-minute break, and then I don't know. Do you guys want to? Do you want to do another room and then do the Regent, or do you want to do the Regent now or after our break?
I would personally go with the Regent, just given the likelihood that we die before we get there at this rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Let's go straight to the region.
Okay. All right. So yeah, why don't we take a 5-minute buyout break, and then
Okay.
we'll come back and do that.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
that's good.
All right. Cheers.
Man, we just can't roll to save our lives.
Nope.
I think we have reconvened.
Awesome. Okay. Alrighty. So, you, sorry, one second. Um, so you make your way down this crack in this glass, and you find yourself, you find it opening, you're going down, you find yourself seeing below you light, which must be candlelight. There must be a room of some sort below you. And you see uh, the light is there, and then it moves out of your downward field of vision. But you're able to kind of like clamber down a little bit more and see that there is a room, uh, and that there are two people with large kind of like candelabras have just walked past and have moved the light further up towards something further up in the room. So you're able to kind of like get down from your area in the darkness with some quiet. And you look, and the carriers of these candelabras stop. They appear to be men in white clerical garb. And they've stopped on each end, at each end of a large wooden chest, maybe a third of the way through the room. You can see in the darkness past them a large shape of some sort, but it's not clear what it is. The two people set down these large candelabras on the ground, and the candles themselves are still kind of at a pretty decent height. It's a tall thing, like 5 feet tall or something like that. They open up this chest. It opens up such that the top faces you, and they both they lean in and they pull something out, and they begin walking towards the back of the room. And you see, at least somewhat, that they're carrying some sort of garment, the two of them, between them. And as they get towards the back third of the room, through some sort of coordination, they begin to, as they walk, unfurl this. And it's obvious that it's a very large white robe of some sort. And they get to that shape that you saw in the back, and they kind of open this thing up towards that shape. They raise it up, and two arms push their way through this thing, and it's then kind of enveloped by it. And then that whiteness that you can see rises to maybe a height of 7 feet. And you can see in the distance, with however much light is there, dark splotches showing themselves on the back of this man who has stood. These splotches are darkening the back of this robe that he has put on. And the two men who did this, who brought this to him, bow to him and turn and walk back towards you. They are not bringing the candelabras with them. So they do not notice when they pass you, and they exit through a pair of double doors, which they then close behind them. A very deep voice. Echoes from the back of the room. Pain, it says, is evil leaving the flesh. When there is no more pain, there shall be no more evil. And there's a beat, a second beat. Has the pain been driven from your flesh?
It's clearly addressing us.
Mm-hmm. And it hasn't
Got it.
turned. It's still facing completely away from you.
So while this was going on, I was trying to like get some idea of what we are facing here. You know, kind of studying what the men were doing when they put the robe on, trying to figure out if there's anything we can figure out about this adversary that we are facing.
Okay. So it sounds like you're kind of like sizing up the enemy. That makes sense.
I guess we're in.
You are in the. You're now
I'm
in
gonna say
confrontation
we're
time.
now in confrontation time. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah. I guess I'm kind of sizing up the enemy.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and roll with glass?
That would be a 7.
All right. On a hit, you find an opening. Say where it's coming from, the environment, a chink in their armor, a flaw in their fighting style. And on a 7 to 9, pick 2 from below on the list.
Okay. So you said that there were like when he put this robe on and his back is still to us, that you said that there were like splotches that were forming on the robe as if
Yep.
Okay, as if our adversary is like, you know, bleeding from wounds or
Yep.
Got it. So I would imagine that the opening is like you know, his existing wounds. So, well, since he knows we're here, I guess we will. Let's see. Let's see. So I have to pick. So I have to pick. So I have to pick
2.
2 from that list.
Yep.
I'm going to say the opening only lasts a few. I'm going to say the opening only lasts a few moments, and you need to use a weapon perk, or you know, attempts to use the opening without one weapon perk take disadvantage.
Okay. Now that is ambiguously worded.
Yeah, that kind of is. You know, just for sake of time, I'm going to change. Let's just not try to figure that out. I'll say I'll step out of the shadows, and I'll just step out of the shadows and and challenge him. So he's going to make me his highest priority.
Okay.
That and the opening only lasts a few moments.
All right. What is it? What is it that you say?
I step. So let me just rewind. And
Sure.
he said something along the lines of, "Pain is evil, and the elimination of pain will eliminate the evil."
So pain is evil leaving the flesh. When there is no more pain, there will be no more evil.
Pain is evil leaving the flesh. Oh, okay, got it.
Probably some kind of self-flagellation type thing.
Or we'll get rid of the evil by inflicting a whole lot of pain. To which I step out and said, "Oh," yeah, I think I'll step out from the shadows and say, "Oh, you are in for a world of pain." And at that, I guess I charge him. I know he's a fair ways away.
He is. Well, Mina, what are you doing?
Well, I guess there's an opening now, right?
Yes.
Well, I've been referencing laser eyes this whole time, so might as well
Make use of them?
make use of them. Yeah, let's do some chaos eyes.
Sweet. So I'm assuming that's strike?
Yeah, I think so. The shifting chaos of the castle bleeds out of your mind and into those that meet your gaze. Your eyes are open with ranged, piercing, and unstable.
What is it? Let's see here. So ranged, okay. Piercing and unstable. You're vulnerable and unable to move after using it. Okay. But can penetrate armor and thick hide.
Hopefully Ronaldo's still got the attention after I'm left weakened.
Possibly. So why don't you go ahead and give me a strike roll? What do you feel that falls under? Sorcery or physical force?
I was thinking precise insight. I've got to hit a specific spot. I'm taking. You mentioned the wound, so I'm going directly for it.
Okay. So yeah, roll with glass.
5.
5. Great. Okay. Yeah. So the you allow the chaos of the castle to make its way from your eyes to the regent's back, and it sears a hole in the robe, and you can see that it is possible that there had been a wound under there, but although you can't see particularly well, but you're pretty certain that all that is left under there now is scar tissue. But you notice you did this, and you burned this hole into the back of his robe, and he made no movement whatsoever. Um, and he intones, All the evil has been driven from me, for I feel no pain. And as Ronaldo, as you are starting to make your move towards him, there starts to be a chuckle from him, deep voiced chuckle. And it echoes in the room. And that glass ceiling that you found your way through starts to crack. And as it does, drops of something start raining down. First, it's a small trickle, but as you run through it, it becomes much, much heavier. And in your charge, uh, you don't recognize it, but Mina, even from the first drops, you knew what this was. Blood is raining down from the ceiling, just pouring down. It's somewhat overwhelming to you, just the smell. And it's making it difficult, Ronaldo, for you to keep your footing as you charge the Regent.
I assume this more or less ends the opening.
No, I mean you still
No? Oh, okay.
The opening is still there because
Okay.
you need to have, if there's no hit, then the opening still exists. I just get still
Okay.
do a hard move.
Got it.
But you can attempt to strike, but I will say that you'll, because of the slipperiness and whatnot, you'll need to do so with disadvantage.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I run up to him and I attack him with my enchanted greatsword.
All right, so roll with iron.
So that is a 4. Yeah, it's only a 6. I am at disadvantage after all.
Yep. Yeah. So the slipperiness of the blood slows you, and fouls up your timing. This entire time, he had just been sitting there. But you make this grand swipe, and he just like barely kind of twists, and the sword just kind of like goes right past him. And he says, "It must be quite difficult keeping that sharp." And with a speed you would not have expected with someone of his size, he spins around and you see something in his hands flash in the light. And you feel something, an impact across your chest. And you look down and you see that you are bleeding a lot. And it takes your body like a few seconds to register the pain because of how sharp the blades that must have been on his hand must have been. You will take 3 harm. Ben, what do you do? Or Mina, I should say.
If I could interrupt,
Sure.
I'm going to take 2 harm and a minor wound.
Okay. Are you going to mark contamination, or are you going to fall back and recuperate?
I'm going to mark contamination.
Okay. Mina?
I'm going to confront. I'm gonna try and sort of interpose myself between this thing and Ronaldo. Give him a chance to recover from that hit.
All right. Roll with iron.
7. Yeah, I
All right.
boosted that last session.
On hit, you throw the foe off balance and create an opening, but take the brunt of their attack. On a 7 to 9, pick 1.
I will say that I am fearsome and commanding. The foe will focus only on me. I'm literally just putting myself right between it and Ronaldo, so it doesn't have a choice.
Yep. You run up there, and you in order to swipe at Ronaldo, he has had to turn around. And what you see in front of you is in this robe. And the robe is the only thing that he is wearing. Is a hulking man with white hair, very closely cut, bloodshot eyes. And in the opening where this robe kind of like, crosses, you can see intense scarring. As if, and it's like sheets of it, as if pieces of his skin were cut off in large flaps, and all that is left is and have scarred over. You put yourself in front of Ronaldo to prevent him from taking another strike, and you yourself do take a strike from the bladed hands of the regent. So you two will take 3 harm. And just the sheer amount of blood that is falling from the ceiling and soaking into your fresh wound, you'll mark contamination. But you have an opening, Ronaldo.
I press that opening to my advantage. My enchanted sword does have the piercing tag, so I should be able to ignore his thick hide if he is indeed completely covered with scar tissue.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I press the attack.
All right.
And try to cut him down.
Roll with iron.
So, that is an 11.
All right. So, you hit him, and yeah, you stab him, and you feel, you have this is going to sound weird, but you have a close enough relationship with your blade that you can sense kind of what the material is that you are cutting through. You have fine enough motor skill attachment. You can feel that you are puncturing something with a thick hide. An armor of sorts. But you do puncture through it. You feel that the hardness, and then like getting through. And he does like twist. When you do this. And he twists so fully that you're holding on to onto your great sword, which is jabbed into him, moves you bodily in order to hold on to the sword, which ends up knocking Mina in the ensuing necessary movement, basically. Mina, you get kind of like thrown to the floor, moved bodily by this. Why don't you take 1 harm?
Could I try and dodge that?
So this is basically the blowback from your unstable, because you're vulnerable and unable to move after using it.
Gotcha. I'm gonna do take a minor wound instead and
Okay.
recuperate healing 1 harm.
Okay. So you'll need to kind of pull yourself away from
Mhm.
the tussle as it is.
I'm at 4 harm, so I don't have a choice.
No, that's fine. But
Yeah,
just as an FYI.
for sure. Yeah.
Ronaldo, it's on you right now because your compatriot is having to kind of nurse their wounds. What do you do?
I'm going to wrench my sword free from the regent, and if I have to grab the blade with both hands, put one foot on him to yank it out, I'll do that. I then shout, "Yeah, why don't you pick on someone your own size and continue to press the attack, trying to keep him. Basically, I'm trying to keep him away from attacking Mina some more, but again, trying to make an opening."
All right. So that sounds like you're confronting.
Yep. So roll plus iron. That would be an 11.
All right. So you throw the foe off balance and create an opening, but you take the brunt of their attack. Pick 2.
I am going to. I'm going to roll with blow, take 1 less harm, and I'm also not going to mark contamination.
Okay. So you will take 2 harm and not mark contamination.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this time he uses just his strength. So instead of slicing you, he just kind of swats you with the back of his arm, and you go I think flying several feet across the room. Mina, what are you doing?
And there's an opening.
I guess if I'm far enough back again, I'll pew pew it again with my.
Sounds good.
So that's glass again, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
9.
All right. So, okay. Let's see here. For license you, for service you from save. Yeah. So you you are able to line up these bolts exactly on the spot where Ronaldo had cut through, and he's visibly shocked by this, and he gives a deep roar. And the cracks in the ceiling finally give way. And debris falls from the ceiling, as does just a wash of blood. But it's no longer dripping. It's no longer pouring. It is all just down on the ground now. Ronaldo, what do you do?
I guess I'm going to continue to press the attack. I know Mina's still pretty wounded, so I'm going to, even though I just got knocked back by his backhand, I'm going to pick myself up off the bloody ground and move forward to try to distract him again. By engaging him in swordplay.
What does all this blood have any impact on you?
Well, it's disgusting that there's blood everywhere. I'm going to try to pick my way through. I mean, as I approach him, I'm going to try to pick my way through it so that I'm not like. I imagine it's kind of hard to, especially with the debris on the ground. Everything's covered with blood. I imagine it's, the footing might be hard, so I'm going to try to be careful as I approach him. Yeah, I'm trying hard to not get any in my mouth as it fell.
So you do this, and you make your way there. You're still fascinated by the fact that he's barely like moved, really kind of like away from like the 6 feet from where he, no more than 6 feet from where he started. Go ahead and give me a roll with iron.
It's a 7 plus 2 is 9.
Okay. You do make that opening, but go ahead and roll. Pick one.
I am going to roll with the blow and take 1 less harm.
All right. He comes at you again with those blades on his hands. This time raking them across your face. You know that you chuckle to yourself, thinking that, well, if you survive this, you know on the upside that due to how sharp these blades must be, you won't have any scarring. But you'll take 2 harm.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for Ronaldo. He was already at 4 harm, took 2. He's already got both a minor and a major wound. I'm at the edge of life. I'm going to trigger my death move.
All right. What does that look like?
I need to take a look at that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So I'm just going to read the death. I'm going to read it first, and I'm going to figure out what this is going to look like.
Mhm.
As a final blow comes down, you choose not to defend yourself, instead using your attacker's momentum to drive your weapon home. Now it's lodged in them, slowing them down and creating a weakness your allies can use to take revenge. Until they take advantage of the embedded weapon as an opening, your allies take advantage on both dodge and stand with me.
Stand with me, or
So,
oh yeah. Wait, stand
yeah,
with
that's
me or
what it says.
confront?
Both. It says you take advantage. So until they take advantage of the embedded weapon as an opening, so there is an opening.
Right.
So until then, they take advantage with both dodge and stand with me. There aren't any other allies here, so I don't think stand with me is going to help much.
Huh. Interesting. The the
So I
book
mean that's
is
it.
the book is different from the sheet.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the book says dodge and confront,
Okay.
but your thing says, but the sheet says dodge and stand with me. So something to probably should let Jay know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
so
as
I can use any of
I
those.
so as I approach, so as he's bearing down with me with these blades, um, I go to what looked like I don't dodge, and surprising him, I instead of dodging, I move toward. I deliberately put myself in harm's way, and he just like instead of slashing up my face, he cuts my throat. Blood starts pouring out, like spurting out, like arterial blood is just kind of spurting out of me, adding to the massive amount of blood that's on the ground. But as that happens, I jam my enchanted greatsword like straight into his side, twisting as it goes, and then I clutch my throat, gurgle, and collapse to the ground.
Mina, he's definitely distracted, and there's most certainly an opening.
I mean, does it seem like he's pretty weak by this point, or
Yes,
okay, then
definitely.
yeah, I'll shoot him. Shoot him
Shoot him
range
through your
again.
eyes.
Yep.
All right, give me a roll.
All right. 9.
Awesome. Okay, so as these things kind of like shoot from your eyes, the as they reach him, uh, instead of burning, it's as if it's been transformed into electricity, and like it starts to like crackle around him and through Ronaldo's dead body, and the regent lets out a shout, and his body crumples to the ground in a heap with Ronaldo, and you start to see all of that blood that is pooled completely over and throughout the entirety of the room. It starts to lift, and it starts to move and swirl around and around into the center of the room. And it forms this swirling mass. And you are very much drawn to it. What do you do?
I suppose first, before anything, I'm pretty sure Ronaldo is gone, but I want to double check to make sure. See if there's anything I can do.
I I don't think that there's anything you can do.
So in that case, the first thing I'm going to do is gather Ronaldo's family heirlooms. So at least I can pass them on to his family outside the castle.
Well, the bigger question right now is, are you going to take the chalice?
No, I think Mina's gonna book it.
Oh wow,
Well,
really?
the call to tell Ronaldo's family what happened to him is I'm the only one left, right? So someone has to take the story back and tell everyone what happened.
All right. Well then, let's see here. What is your blood?
1.
Okay. So, your explorer loots the castle for valuable trinkets. Say what they spend the rest of their life doing with their fortune, and start the next generation with one more relic. That's one choice. Another choice is your explorer devotes their life to preparing the next generation. You choose one other bloodline, say how you help train their next explorer, and get one pact on them. And the third option is your bloodline works to heal the wounds left in the community by the castle. Name an alliance you've made and get advantage when you call on it for reinforcements.
I think it makes sense for the second one. I go back and I tell Ronaldo's family what happened and bring back his sword and I believe you have the original cloak too, right?
I don't think he was wearing that, but
No, yeah, his
he
family
wasn't.
has that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose bring back the sword and tell what happened and help to prepare the next
Generation.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right,
Cool.
well,
That was a fitting end.
yeah, that definitely was. That came together relatively well at that end point. Do people have time to chat a little bit? Or
I would like to. I need like 2 minutes, but
okay,
I'll
sure,
be right back.
sure, awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to chat on stream or off stream? Do you?
Probably. I mean, either both or off stream. I think would be
Okay,
a better bet if that's okay.
I'm going to lean towards off then.
Okay.